The restaurant buzzed with the quiet hum of clinking glasses, soft music, and the subtle aroma of freshly baked bread. Sunlight poured through the tall windows, scattering golden reflections across the neatly laid white tablecloths. It was a normal weekday afternoon, but for Anna Muller, it felt like another test in a life already full of silent battles. She adjusted her apron, brushed her trembling hands on it, and forced a polite smile as she approached a table that would soon change everything. Not just for her, but for everyone who witnessed what was about to unfold. If you believe that kindness, respect, and second chances can change lives, then please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to MS Stories, because stories like this remind us what it truly means to be human. Anna had been working double shifts for weeks at l'Amazon, an upscale restaurant where the wealthy came to flaunt their fortunes, and the servers tried to disappear into their uniforms. Her mother's hospital bills had been piling up, and her younger brother needed tuition fees she couldn't afford. She rarely complained, even when exhaustion blurred her vision, or when her feet burned from endless hours of service. She carried herself with quiet dignity, the kind that only people who've known real struggle possess. That afternoon, a group of businessmen entered, their confidence filling the room before they even sat down. Among them was Carl Schneider, a billionaire investor known for his ruthless deals and a tongue sharper than any blade. His presence drew whispers from nearby tables. Power has a way of making others small. He wore a perfect smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. He enjoyed being noticed, admired, even feared. Anna noticed him, too, but only because it was her job to serve him. As she approached the table, carrying their drinks with steady hands, she could feel their eyes on her, the kind of stares that measured a person's worth by their uniform. Carl leaned back in his chair, speaking in fluent German to his companions, assuming no one around him understood. His tone dripped with arrogance as he commented on the waitress's shaky hands and how clumsy poor people look when they try to act graceful. Laughter erupted around the table. The sound stabbed through the air like a cruel echo. Anna froze for a second, her heart pounding. She understood every word. After all, she wasn't just a waitress. She was a former language student who once dreamed of becoming a translator. But dreams don't always survive reality. After her father's death, she had to drop out of university and take whatever work she could find to support her family. She wanted to walk away. She wanted to pretend she hadn't heard it. But something inside her, a quiet, unbreakable strength, wouldn't let the moment pass. She sat down the drinks gently, took a deep breath, and turned to Carl with calm eyes. Then, in flawless German, she replied, her tone steady, her words measured, and her voice carrying the quiet authority of someone who had nothing left to lose. She told him that respect doesn't come from wealth, and intelligence doesn't come from status. She reminded him that the language he used to belittle others was one she had once studied out of love, not to show off, but to connect with people. The laughter at the table died instantly. The room seemed to hold its breath. Carl's smirk faded. For the first time, he looked genuinely unsure of himself. His companions glanced at each other awkwardly, their confidence dissolving in silence. Anna didn't raise her voice or seek pity. She simply stood her ground with quiet dignity. Then she walked away, leaving a stunned billionaire staring at his reflection in the wine glass. For the rest of the meal, Carl said very little. The men who once laughed with him now avoided eye contact, their earlier arrogance replaced by unease. Something in Anna's swords had struck deeper than she intended. Later, when he asked for the bill, he requested to speak with the manager. Everyone assumed he would complain, perhaps even demand she be fired. Anna's heart sank as the manager called her over. She braced herself for humiliation, the familiar ache of being punished for speaking the truth. But instead, Carl stood up. His face was different now, no longer smug, but strangely human. He apologized, first in German, then in English. The restaurant went silent again, shocked at the sight of a billionaire apologizing to a waitress. He admitted that he had judged her, that he had forgotten what respect truly meant. Then he left a large tip, not out of guilt, but gratitude, and walked away quietly, his entourage following behind. Anna didn't cry, though she wanted to. She simply exhaled, her heart trembling with relief. She had stood up for herself and for every person who had ever been made to feel small. A few weeks later, life went on as usual. But then one morning, the restaurant received a letter addressed to Anna. It was from Carl Schneider. Inside, he wrote that their encounter had made him rethink his behavior and his company's culture. Heshered that he had grown up poor himself, something he had buried under layers of ego and success. He confessed that he had lost touch with humility and empathy, two things that had once guided his journey. He told Anna that her courage had reminded him of the kind of person he used to be before wealth consumed him. Enclosed with the letter was a scholarship form and a sponsorship offer. Carl had set up a fund in her name to help underprivileged students continue their education. He wanted her to be the first recipient. Anna couldn't believe it. Tears filled her eyes as she realized that a few honest words had not only defended her dignity, but also reignited humanity in someone else shared. She accepted the scholarship, resumed her studies, and eventually became a professional translator, the dream she had once given up. Years later, she would be invited as a guest speaker at a university event about resilience and kindness. As she stood on stage looking out at the students' faces, she remembered that afternoon sunlight, that restaurant, and that cruel laughter that turned into silence. She told them that kindness is not weakness. It's strength disguised as gentleness. And that sometimes standing up with grace can change even the hardest of hearts. If this story touched your heart and reminded you of the power of MS Stories, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness MS Stories, because the world needs more stories that heal and inspire. And before you leave, I have a small request. Comment below what you would have done if you were in Anna's place. Would you have stayed silent, or would you have spoken your truth like she did? As the sun dipped low outside the restaurant that day, casting warm light across the empty tables, Anna stayed back a little longer, cleaning up as always. But this time, something inside her had changed forever. She wasn't just a waitress anymore. She was proof that dignity can be bought, that words can heal, and that even a single moment of courage can echo through another person's life like sunlight breaking through a storm. And somewhere in a tall glass building far away, a billionaire sat by the window, holding a letter with her name on it and whispering a quiet thank you to the girl who reminded him that wealth means nothing without heart.